Hello everyone. So let's go ahead and start out today finding your easy seat in whatever way is comfortable for you. We're just going to take a few moments to tune into your own body, breathe into that center of being, into that internal space. Just feel those sensations and let all the distractions of the world just fade away for this couple of minutes that you're just tuning into the breath. Letting the body settle and relax in a nicely lifted position. Spine is nice and long. Closing the eyes. Just becoming aware of the breath. Notice your body beginning to change its position. Just gently lift back up into that nice lengthened spine, letting the body relax once again. Just drawing the attention right back to the breath. Without trying to change the breath in any way, just watching what it's doing. How the breath moves in the body, how it feels in the body on the inhale and the exhale. Letting any thoughts that enter the mind just drift away. Attention resting on the breath. Just a few more breaths here. As you inhale again, gently open the eyes. And let's start out, just interlace the fingers in front of your body. And as you inhale again, take those arms up overhead, opening up the shoulders. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. And if you want, you can invert those palms. As you exhale, lower back down. Inhale, lift up, just a couple breaths. Exhale down. this time, just reaching through the palms. Letting the ribs expand out to the sides of your body as you're breathing. And as you exhale, release those arms down. Inhale, this time lifting up those collarbones, lifting that pelvis forward just a little bit. Cow. And then exhale, round out the pelvis, round out the back, chin to chest, cat. Inhale up. Exhale back. And this next time that you exhale, let's take that motion forward. Reaching the arms out in front of the body. Inhaling back up to center. And then exhaling back into your cat. And leaning forward, just alternating in between those two. Noticing how much stress or tension you might be feeling through the hips and the lower back here. Okay, go ahead and change that leg that's in front, your easy seat. And now coming back up and changing so that whatever leg gives you either the greatest comfort or the greatest sensation that might stand for some more release time, change the legs and then fold back forward as you exhale and just hold here for a few breaths. Breathing into all that space or that discomfort, allowing the body to open a little bit. Just one more breath. And then as you inhale, use your hands, push up and out of that. Let the shoulder blades rest on the back, nice and tall. And then as you exhale again, pick which side you want to lean on over. Really grounding down through the hips here. And now letting the breath move into the side of your body, expanding the rib cage out. One more breath on this side. And as you inhale, let that arm come up and over. And exhale as you transition right on over to the other side, really locking down those hips. Noticing the flexibility, maybe a difference in the sides of your body. Letting that rib cage open out to the side with every inhale. Just one more full breath. And then as you inhale, come on back up. And we'll exhale right into those circles, just mini circles. Letting the spine move in all the directions. A little bit different than a cat and cow on your hands and knees. And then bring that circle in the other direction. Now as we've been sitting here for a little bit, come back to center. Let's just bring the soles of the feet together for bound angle. So we'll begin to increase that space in your hips. And notice where your feet go kind of automatically. And if you can lift up through the hips to shorten the space between the heels and your hips. Okay, rather than pulling the feet towards you, and just hold here. Notice all the space through the inner thighs. Okay. And notice if you're rounded. Okay. If you can lift up through that spine, and as you're doing that, if you can kind of push down with the knees. Just creating length through the spine. Just letting the legs have a moment here to open on their own versus us actively trying to do something to increase that release. Just let them sit there. And if you notice there's this subtle pulling through your muscles, if you can try to just mentally relax that space so that there's not so much pulling, and that the legs and the muscles will eventually let go and release a little bit more. And bringing your awareness to the breath helps with that release. See if you can lift up a little bit more on that next inhale that you take. Notice if you're gripping your feet with your hands to hold this upright position, or if you can let that go as well. And if you need more depth to the pose, you can certainly begin to walk your hands forward, being mindful of keeping the lower spine nice and straight. You can begin to let the upper spine hinge forward. Lower spine stays straight. And as any more softening happens through your legs, you can keep walking those hands forward. Being mindful of that lower spine. Just a few more breaths here. Now, as you inhale, go ahead and use those hands to push back, up, and out. Okay, nice and slow. And let's try a little bit different variation of a bound angle and a wide straddle. So this is going to be more of a turtle-like pose. So if we kind of extend the legs straight out in the straddle, but this time go ahead and bend the knees, okay? So we're just gonna hinge forward. Keep hinging forward. And notice the different sensation you get through your inner thighs, your legs, your lower spine. So just holding here. To advance this pose, we have to be a bit more flexible to be able to get our chest down to the floor. So this is pretty much going to do it for me in this position. So this is where I'm going to hold. Eventually the arms would be making it underneath the legs as your chest lowers to the floor. But we want to stay where the body's at. So we're just increasing that tension through those adductor muscles differently than we did in that bound angle. Okay, progression. Couple more breaths. And then as you inhale, let's go ahead and come on up. Lift right up and out. Extend those legs out into your straddle. And if you want to test the water just a little bit of the bound angle and this turtle position that we were just in, maybe open your straddle just a smidge more. See if you had a little bit of opening there through the inner thighs. And now let's lift up. Inhale, draw the arms straight up overhead. Drop the shoulder blades down. Okay. Belly's engaged now. And as you exhale, we're just gonna twist over to one side. Okay, drop the arms down, breathe. Let your head turn towards that back shoulder. One more breath. As you exhale, release back to center. And do the other side. Inhale, take those arms straight up overhead. Belly is engaged. Shoulders draw down the back. And as you exhale, rotate that rib cage to the other side, just as far as you can comfortably. And then bring those arms down. Shoulders resting down the back. The head can turn towards the back shoulder. Can you still take a full breath and have your core muscles engaged? And as you exhale, release back to center. So let's add a little side stretch here. Okay, let the right arm come inside of that thigh as best that you can. Okay, it might not be much, maybe this is it. Okay, we're gonna try to get that forearm to come down to the mat. Be sure that the hips on both sides are staying glued down to the mat. You really want to feel equal pressure in both of those sits bones that are pressing down into the mat, okay? And then let's just bring that left arm right up overhead. We get a good stretch through the side body here now. We're going to add a little movement to this one. See if we can increase our stretch on the side body here, down through those hips especially. So as you inhale, release up and out. Okay, come straight up. As you exhale, let's come back in. Really utilize the full length of your breath now. It's important as you're trying to increase your flexibility. Inhale, lift up. There's no rushing these movements. Exhale, drop back in. Notice the difference in the space. Press down through those hips. Maybe you're increasing in the amount of stretch you're receiving here rather than getting the arm to lengthen further away from you, okay? It's that depth of the stretch. You'll feel it. And we're going to hold here now. Draw those shoulders down the back. Okay, as you inhale, lift up and out. And let's take just a couple breaths coming back up through center before we change to do the other side. Now, if you feel any tension through that lower spine, even in this position with the straddle, you can do your cat and cow, okay? Just give a little flexibility to those hips, the lower back. It's a nice release. Then as you inhale again, lift straight on up, and now we're going to come in on that left side. Okay, finding that space that you can reach your right arm overhead, still keep those hips locked down to the mat. Okay. Couple breaths, drawing the shoulders down. We're always refining for the best posture, the best alignment our body can give us in any pose, in any position at any time. Even if that means reaching, you'll feel it. If you can reach a little more with the arm, you're feeling what these muscles can do. So there really isn't a lot of time for your brain to be doing something else, like thinking about thoughts for tomorrow. Should be feeling out your body. So inhale, let's come up and out. Now we're going to sink back in on those exhales. Inhale, lift up and out. Exhale. And inhale. This is the last time. So you exhale, sink right on in. We're going to hold. Set your body up well for that stretch. One more full breath. And as you inhale again, very gently release up and out. Okay, you can use your other hand to push up off the floor if you'd like. Let's bring the legs together. Okay. And if you want, you can even cross them again. I do a few releases of your cat and cows. Okay, and that can also include folding forward. I want you to notice any difference in the length and the releases through the hips and your lower spine as we keep moving. And notice how the body responds to these continued releases and what your body might draw from these cat and cows as we're doing other things. A couple circles each side, keeping that spine really fluid. Okay. And keeping the lower spine, the hips, all these muscles that we've just been stretching, we're keeping them fluid as well and soft, so they don't tighten right back up. Okay. So now extend the legs out into your staff pose. Remember that staff, you're pushing down through the heels, you're pushing down through the backs of the legs, you're grounding down through those sits bones, okay? The hips, the belly is engaged, the shoulders are relaxing down the back, that rib cage draws right in towards the spine. Hands are right beside the hips, and then we're just going to press down into the hands and kind of lift up off the floor ever so slightly with your hips, if you can. Shoulders remaining down the back. Go ahead and release out of that. So on your next exhale, come back in, just push down, lift the collarbones, lift the chest. Let the pelvis be in a neutral position. You might notice that the pelvis was slightly curled forward as you notice a release now through the lower spine. Try not to bow the pelvis backwards and release. Okay. So now let's take the right leg and we're going to try this. I was going to say the modified pigeon, but it's that figure 4 pose a little bit differently. So we're going to do it seated right here. Okay. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Okay. Notice sensations that you have. And then we're going to lift straight up, really ground down through those sits bones and begin to fold forward right here. Okay? Pressing down, inching your way forward. Just as far as you can comfortably go. If you can get a hold of your left foot, go for it. Give those your calves a little bit of a stretch. Being mindful of keeping both hips glued down to the mat. And also what you're feeling in your right hip. Shoulder blades are resting down the back. You have that beautiful length in your spine the whole way. You can keep inching your way forward if your back and your hips are pretty supple now. Just staying in that point of where you have a little bit of sensation as is comfortable on either side of the body, both sides, and then breathe. Just a few more breaths. And very gently now release the hands beside your body and use them to lift up and out. Come up all the way, ground down through those sits bones. Go ahead and lengthen out that right leg, and in between these poses that we're doing, or in between legs, lift up nice and tall. We're gonna release through a forward fold, seated. So if you notice with your forward folds, okay, if you have tightness in the hamstrings, the hips, the lower back, and the pelvis is rounding out already, just for you to maintain that upright position, bend the knees and lift that pelvis up. Straight up and down is the neutral. That's what we're trying to achieve if you are extremely tight. And then from there, you can begin to walk those legs out, keeping that pelvis lifted, neutral, okay? Now, if you're not all tight, you're nice and loose, you can straighten out those legs. We're gonna let the pelvis help us to maintain that straight spine as we lean forward out over the legs, okay? And you're just going to that point of sensation through the backs of the legs and the lower back. Letting the shoulders rest down the back. And notice now how we can fill up the back of our body with the breath. We're going to begin to move a little bit here and make some refinements with our posture in this pose as well. Increase that length along your spine. So as you inhale again, we're not entirely lifting up and out of this pose. And if you can see me up on your screen, as you inhale, it's just more about refining the alignment. So I'm just going to pull the pelvis forward a little bit more, as well as pull the shoulder blades down the back, being sure that my stomach muscles are engaged. And that was it. As I exhale, you maintain that new length and settle in just a little bit deeper. And then as you inhale again, it's that same thing. You're lifting up ever so slightly as you just refine that alignment. Shoulder blades drawing down the back, the pelvis pushing forward. Okay, exhaling, releasing into that new length. And then one more time. Inhale and lengthen the body, lengthen the spine, and then release back in. Really feel the subtle sensations of this opening as the body lets you deepen that pose. Now, if you are reaching your feet and you have made it to where your hands are at your feet, try not to tug with your hands. They're just there. And so we let the body lead you in as it lets you, rather than you taking it to a position that it may not be ready for. Okay, just a couple more breaths. And as you inhale again, just release those hands back beside the legs. We're going to use the hands to come up and out as our back has been extended for a little while. So we don't want to tense up those muscles. And now let's come in. So we're still in our forward fold position, or our staff pose rather. We now want to bring that left leg on over that figure 4 position. Okay, crossing the ankle above the knee, not on the knee. And then we're just going to begin to lift up nice and tall through the torso, and then take that torso right out over. Okay. Try not to twist your torso, you're just heading straight on out. We'll do just a few more breaths on this side. As you inhale, release the hands, okay, and push right on up, using the hands to come up and out. We'll extend that leg back out. And now we're going to release down onto our backs. And hug your knees in, release through the lower spine. Go ahead and place your feet down on the mat. We'll do a little bit with bridge pose here. So pull the shoulder blades down and under the back. And then see if you can, so after you've positioned those shoulder blades down and under, see if you can draw the belly down. And notice that when you're engaging those belly muscles, how we take up that space that might have been created when we pulled the shoulders down. It placed a little bit of an arch in the back. But if you engage the core, notice how it pulls the lower back down to the mat, which is a much more safe position for the lower back. Now, if you can take a full breath here, okay, before we even start into the bridge, full breath. Now, pull the shoulder blades down your back one more time. Just purposely lift them up, place them down the back. And if you can, once again, engage that core and see if you can bring your lower spine or your lower back down to meet the mat through the engagement of the core muscles. Okay, notice how that might encourage a subtle lift with the pelvis. So the pelvis wants to dip backwards a little bit as you're engaging the core, and that's great because that movement is the first, it's also asking your glutes to get involved, is the first motion of this bridge movement, right? Where we lift the hips above the floor. So we've got our core and our back and our hips in a nice place here. So continuing that core engagement, then I want you to just slowly press down through the heels, lift up with the glutes until you notice any sensation in your lower back. If you do, stop and then very gently lower back down to the mat. Okay, keeping the core muscles engaged so that you're pressing your lower back into the mat. Also be aware of what happens up at your shoulders. If the shoulder blades are starting to creep right back out, because all these muscles are pretty strong and they begin to pull. It's very hard for the shoulder blades to stay rested. Okay, so again, pull the shoulder blades down the back. Okay, Draw the belly muscles in so that we encourage the lower back to rest down on the mat. That then asks the pelvis and those glute muscles to get involved. So those are the correct muscles for the job here. And then as you inhale, lift up just till you feel some sensation through the glutes, not in the lower back. And as you exhale, lower back down. So with your breath, a few more of those. Keep the shoulder blades resting down the back. We want to open through the chest here. A few more. Really being mindful of what your lower back is doing and how quickly and easily we let go of the core. And then the back arches, but those muscles might also be loosening up. So we're going to take up that space, keeping the belly engaged. A few more. You'll notice your lift will increase when those back muscles are loosening up. Okay. So make one more refinement before you move again. Pull the shoulder blades down the back. Notice how much larger of an arch you have. So the back is coming off the floor. Pull the belly in. Let those back muscles make it down to the mat. Engage the glutes. The core is engaged. And you're lifting up even higher. You're going to feel much more expansion now through the chest. Keeping the shoulder blades down and releasing. A few more breaths. Really paying attention to all those places. All those sensations. And honoring the space that you have. So do not force this movement. Your body will let go on its own and you'll increase the depth of this bridge. Okay? A few more breaths. Pull that belly down. Last two breaths. And then release the hips down. Let the shoulders relax, let your body relax, and just hang here for a few breaths. Feeling out that lower back space now. And then cross the right ankle over, modified pigeon here. See if you can position your body, get those shoulder blades comfortably down your back before we even start. So from this place where the leg is crossed over, if you can draw that belly in, you're leveling out. Can you level the hips and the lower spine down onto that mat? And then from that engagement at the core, if you can draw the legs in, okay? Notice what it takes to use your core instead of your arms here to pull and keep that lower back pressing down into the mat. Pull those legs in. And then as you want to deepen this stretch, then we use the legs here to push in so you get a good stretch through the glutes and that piriformis muscle. Even the inner thighs feel this stretch. Can you still feel that lower back pressing down into the mat here? neck and what it's doing here. Okay. Shoulder blades still soft. We're releasing tension through these neck muscles by not engaging the upper body. By letting all those other muscles, the lower back, the hips, everything's releasing here rather than creating tension. Okay? Couple more breaths. I know we do a lot of similar stuff throughout our yoga classes, but I really want you to begin to feel these subtleties in your body. And we can't do that unless we keep coming back to a lot of the same stuff. That's how you'll notice the changes. Okay, so I want you to keep this right leg hugged in. Okay, the left leg is going to drop on out. Notice your belly muscles. Did you engage them? Did that lower spine stay connected to the mat as you lengthen that leg out? Now, keeping all of that just right, we're going to then take this right leg across the body over to the other side. And pay attention to all those subtle pieces. Shoulder blades, both sides, locked down to the mat. You have much greater awareness of your hip structure here right now. The outer glutes, shoulder blades. Okay, the core is still involved here. You're going to be hugging in a little bit. And I bet that the hip muscles, the glutes, they're all letting y'all have a little more sensation than normal. So just a couple more breaths. Okay, and now as you exhale again, really draw in through your core and let those core muscles gently return those hips to the mat without the hips flopping down. Okay. And then we'll release the right foot to the mat. And now go ahead and bring the left leg up and over for your pigeon. And remember, you're feeling that lower space, this lower back, meet the mat now. And if you engage through the core, can you keep that connection as you get the core muscles to pull the legs right on into the chest? And then the arms help to pull the knee in close enough that you can get a stretch through the hip and the glutes. Also, this leg, the one that's is when you push in, that's also going to increase the depth of the stretch rather than the arms. So we can kind of let the upper body have a way to relax because we don't need to use it here, okay? This knee can do it, it can push in. And then you're just holding and breathing and relaxing all the body here, stretching into those glutes. Tension through the upper body, the neck should be none. Trying to release that space as well. Takes a little bit of mental effort to release the muscles that tend to tighten up without us thinking about it, but you'll feel them as they are working to either work or to release. They're letting you know we can go either way, and I'm sure you can feel that. So always seek to release. so just a couple more breaths. Now, keeping that engagement at your core, noticing how the back is pressing down into the mat. Keep this left leg hugged in, trying not to engage so much of the upper body muscles. The core is involved here to lower that right leg down to the mat, okay? And then you're gonna bring this left leg across the body. Core is involved here. Nice and slow, and you're really paying attention to the sensation through the hip, as well as keeping that upper body glued down to the floor, the mat. Shoulder blades, both shoulder blades are resting down onto the mat. Okay, so we have that nice toggle between your upper body, the lower body here. And feeling a bit more sensation through that hip. And the glutes. As we seek to keep the rest of the body resting as well, relaxed. Just a couple more breaths. And now as you exhale again, engage the core and let the core gently and slowly return the hips to the mat. Okay? And then lengthen that left leg out. Now, notice here as we're opening up into Shavasana, how much difference do you notice in the restfulness of your lower back space? Okay? So even as we are here, if you pull the shoulder blades down the back into that comfortable rested position, and you engage the core, even as we're laying here, to continue to let that lower back rest. And then there will be a release that you can give the core muscles, but they're still going to have a little bit of an engagement to them to maintain that rested position, okay? But they're still a little active. And then just release. Let the rest of the body relax entirely, deepening the breath once again. And if you notice tension anywhere, okay, do a movement to release your body. And sometimes all it is just a mental acknowledgement that, yes, I feel it, and then the body lets go. The exhale is just to further encourage the release of the body. And then when the body's comfortable, your awareness will naturally draw to the sensation of the breath. As the breath brings such peace and relaxation to the body, the mind will release itself from that. taking just a few more deep, full breaths, fully aware. Follow the breath in, all those sensations for the inhale, and follow the breath back out, every ounce of space being acknowledged. Continue to let the body relax through the breath without tensing up, even knowing that we're going to move. And begin wiggling the fingers and the toes, circling the wrists and the ankles. When you're ready, hug the knees. Use those core muscles to pull those legs into the body. Even if you have to do it one at a time, it's not as much work, especially to tighten up all those back muscles again that we worked so hard to release. You can rock side to side if you like, or circle the knees. If you are circling, taking that circle in both directions. And rolling to one side. Taking a full breath here. And then when you're ready, come on up to a seated position. Closing the eyes once again. And returning to the belly breath. Just letting the breath be deep and full. Spine long and tall. And just notice how your body feels from your practice. Bringing your hands to your heart. Namaste.